Ay, magandang hapon po. Napa-vlog ulit ako. Magbibigay ho tayo ng reaksyon dito. Shout out mga kamping, mga kabunyog. Maganda ho kasi. Pakinggan po natin. Ito ay isa. Madre po to, madre. Isa po ito sa kasama sa EDSA People Power 1.
One of the nuns who was at the forefront of the 1986 People Power Revolution, Sister Mary John Manansan. She's now Executive Director of the Institute of Women's Studies at the St. Scholastica's College. Sister Mary John.
Sister Mary John. Ayan po siya. 84 years old na po yan. 84 years old na po yan.
Mary John, good afternoon to you, and thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate you coming to the show. Sister MJ, kindly unmute.
Okay, sorry.
It's all right. Welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Well,
Maganda ho kasi yung naging topic ni Carmina rito eh.
it's the 36th anniversary of the EDSA People Power Revolution, 36 years since you stood in front of those tanks and participated in the bloodless revolution that toppled the Marcos dictatorship. What makes this year separate and distinct from all the years that have passed?
You mean this year now?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because there is this threat of Marcos coming back to power, that makes this election and this EDSA revolution, EDSA commemoration, something very special because it might be the last celebration of EDSA. That's why it's quite special because we do not know what's going to happen.
Did you even think when you were there on that day, standing in front of those tanks, did you even think that this day would come? That you would once again, talk about the Marcoses, this time return to the palace?
Absolutely not, no. Because it was so clear that, I mean to say, why would they flee the country if they are so great, no? If it was a golden age and everything, why should they have to flee the country? And we all know that they made kurakot so much. And that is not a
Sister Mary John Manansan, Executive Director, Institute of Women's Studies, St. Scholastica's College.
fiction. I mean, there is the Swiss, there's the trial in Switzerland.
Sana ito, kalat nyo ho. Baka makarating ho sa mga trolls at magising ho sila.
There was a trial in Hawaii. We have now the 7 convictions of...
Bago lang po kasi ito eh. Wala pa hong 40 minutes pa lang ho nakakalipas.
Of Imelda Marcos. I mean, it's almost impossible to believe that that regime, which was ended by the EDSA, that it could ever come again. That is absolutely out of my imagination.
Out of, yung nangyayari ho ngayon, ibabalik nga nila itong mga Marcos sa Malacanang eh. Out of his of her imagination, no?
At that time.
So why do you think we're here, Sister Mary John? Why do you think we're not talking about this clear and present threat of the Marcoses' return to power?
Your question is why this threat now?
Yeah, why do you think we're here? Why did we end up
Okay.
in a situation?
Now, I do not agree with the people who blame EDSA for it, or they downgrade EDSA. No. EDSA itself was a bright, shining moment in our history. It's something that you have to be proud of. And it's something that showed that the Filipino people, if they just unite for one purpose, they can achieve something. In fact, to oust a dictator. But the thing is, after EDSA, we were so complacent, no? I mean, sabi, okay, tapos na yung, that's always what is parang questionable sa mga revolution eh. Magre-revolution, after the revolution, parang wala na. Parang they can take care of it, ganon. That should not have been. We should have continued our vigilance, no? Na yung mga susunod dyan, dapat yung parang dream natin sa EDSA for a real, free, independent, democratic, prosperous Philippines should have come about, no? So, it is not the EDSA itself, because it's a finished historic event, and I would never agree with anyone who would in any way downgrade it, because it's really something that people even in Europe, what they call it, they copied it. You know, I was there in the Berlin Wall when they took out the Berlin Wall, and they did exactly what we did, you know, bringing the flower to the soldiers. Ganyan, talagang kinopya tayo, no? So sa akin, that is something that we have to be proud of. We led a bloodless revolution and ousted the dictator. That is something that you cannot degrade, and you
Ito mismo yung kasama doon, ha, mga trolls.
cannot subtract anything. No?
And to the criticism, Sister Mary John, that after that bloodless revolution, it only paved the way for the elite to still stay in power up to this day. Saan po nagkamali?
Galing din talaga ni Carmina. Pakatalino si Carmina. Ganito sana mga ano, hindi kagaya ng mga Tonying!
Well, I don't think it's the EDSA itself that paved the way.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already there, no? That the EDSA had nothing to do with putting them in power or something like that. EDSA is EDSA. Whatever comes after is the fault of the people that came after, di ba? For example, what could have been done after EDSA?
Ito, maganda mga boss. Ang galing nitong madre na to, Sister Mary John Manansan.
Would have been sa akin lang, ano, you know, I love Cory because she was our alumna, no?
Alumna, St. Scholastica pala si Cory.
And she's really a wonderful person, and talagang wala kang masasabing nangurakot. But it seems to me that she was not prepared for the presidency.
Totoo yun. Hindi siya talaga prepared para sa presidency. O, wala nga siya, hindi nga siya naging barangay captain, di ba? Oh.
It was enough for her to restore democracy. But just looking at back now, what would have been done in her administration are two things which did not happen. One is real how do you call this, agrarian reform. I mean, she could have you know, really given up the hacienda lucida.
Yun. Siguro, yun ang hindi nagawa ni Cory. Dapat daw, pinamigay na yung Hacienda Lucita sa mga magsasakay.
You know, and could have ordered all hacienderos at that time to do the same.
Yun. Ang galing niya, no? Tapos, tama nga naman si sister, di ba? Binigay niya yung Hacienda Lucita sa mga magsasaka. At in-order niya yung mga ibang mga hasindero na gano'n din ang gawin. Pwede niyang gawin, di ba? Siya nga ang Pangulo.
And she had the moral ascendancy to do that, because if she did it, then everyone. Number two, we could have said to the World Bank, you know, we're beginning a democracy, and therefore we need all the help, the resources we can. So we should abrogate our debt, or at the very least, let us have a moratorium of 20 years. You know, that would have, you know, really bolstered the Philippine economy, and then they should have gone into industrialization, you know, where people would have a good livelihood. So those things did not happen, you know.
Ito ang gustong gawin ngayon ni BP Leni Robredo. Yung sinasabi po ni sister.
The system is exactly the same. The thing is that it's a change of persons from one president to the other. But this system itself.
And what do you think, Sister Mary John, to those who think that's precisely the point there, that the late President Cory Aquino was being backed up by the same elite that just
Galing talaga ni Carmina. Yung mga question. Ito mga talagang ano, mga mainstream media, ANC po ito eh.
Because they knew that Marcos was going down, and therefore they started backing her up to still maintain the status quo.
Precisely. That's what I mean. There was no change in the what do you call that, in the vision of people who were in power, no? There was no change of how do you call it, perspective. It's still the whole thing. Only that there is a change of personalities, no? As I said, there was no real land reform that happened. No, there was no real how do you call that, development of industries that could have given livelihood to the people. So it's
Ito ang plano ni BP gawin. Ito po.
the same system, as you said, it was elitist again.
Ito mismo ang gustong gawin ni BP Lenny. Pag siya po ang naupo.
So but of course, I'm saying also, the many people who were at EDSA, we should not, first of all, we should not have just said, okay na, meron nang gagawa niyan. No, we should have kept our vigilance and prodded them to really do what we think should have been done, and that is not the land reform, otherwise, it's the same.
Ayan po yung EDSA nun eh. Yan po eh.
No? And number two, what I think we should have done also is to really document everything that
Yung hilera ho ng madre na yun, nandun po siya.
happened during the martial law, put it in textbook, and it should have been, a compulsory, like we are making the Noli Pili compulsory. Kasi yung mga bata ngayon, ay wala naman kami doon ganon. Bakit? Nandun ba sila kay Jose Rizal?
Ang galing po niya, no? Kasi iba sinasabi nga araw ng mga bata, hindi naman nila alam yan. Bakit? Nandun ba sila kay Jose Rizal? Ang galing nung ni Sister Mary John Manansan.
Kay Bonifacio, lalo nang wala sila doon. And yet, they appreciate Rizal, they appreciate Bonifacio what they did. So, there is no, there is no excuse na wala sila doon sa EDSA, wala sila doon sa martial law. That's why parang golden age na ang martial law.
Sister Mary John, sa pakikinig po sa inyo, parang talagang yun naman ang totoo na ang daming nasayang, no? Hindi
Sayang.
maraming nasayang na pagkakataon. Should've, would've, could've. But is it too late to sort of turn back the time and institute all these reforms?
Ang galing talaga ni Carmina. Saludo ko talaga dito sa babae na to. Ang talino.
Go ahead, Sister Mary John.
It's never too late. I mean, I do not believe na sasabihin mo, ay, hopeless na, matulog na lang tayo. Of course not. I mean to say, I am 84 years old and I'm still fighting. Whenever I see anything that is happening in our country and I don't agree with it, I'll say, I don't care what red tagging they will do to me. I really don't care. But I will just say what I think is good for the country. And when I see what is
Ang galing din ni Sister, no?
wrong, I will say it is wrong. Never mind who is doing it, no? So I think this kind, and the spirit of EDSA for me is that there is really a way that you could really have power if you are united for one goal.
Sister
Yan ang
Mary John,
importante.
let's talk about being united. Let's talk about unity. Yan po ang mismong sinasabi ngayon ni Bongbong Marcos Jr. That's his tagline. That's his campaign slogan. Unity. I want to know what you think about the very spirit of the revolution.
Ganda talagang tanong ni Carmina. At ang sagot ni Sister.
Which is unity, which is now being used by the son of the dictator who was toppled because of that revolution. What are your thoughts regarding that?
But unity is a word. But what are united about? What are you united about? Ang importante, ano yung goal na pare-pareho kayo? Pare-pareho ba nga tayo ngayon? Of course not. Ang dami-dami natin. At saka anong klaseng unity yung gusto niyang gawin? Unity for what? Sa akin, unity is not a goal in itself. You have to have a unity for a cause, for something that you want to bring about, no? Kasi unity, ganun din naman sa gera eh. Mag-unite yung mga army para patayin yung isang army. Tama bang unity yon? Of course not. So you do not play with the word unity. Unity is neutral. What is important is why are you united about? What is your goal as a united people? Diba sa akin, the unity should be for the common good of people.
At yan po ang sinasabi niya. Bayan babangon muli. Unity so that the country can pick up the pieces, be great again. Your thoughts on that?
What great again? Again? When was it great? During Marcos' time? But again, these are words that he is using, no? But what is it in concrete? What kind of unity? For example, I cannot be united with someone who never apologized for all the wrongdoings that the father did, no?
Sana ikalat nyo to mga boss. Baka may mga trolls na magising pa. Ha? Marami ho yan. Nasisilaw lang ho sila sa kanilang ibinibigay sa kanilang barya.
I mean, I would
Kapalit ang hirap na naman ng Pilipinas. Sigurado po yan.
have expected, I would have wished that this candidate would have said, okay, I admit all the nangyari during my father's time. I am sorry for it. I apologize for it, and I assure you I will never do it. And to show you I am very sincere about that, ibabalik ko lahat yung mga kayamanan na nakuha namin. Kung ganon, he's more credible. Pero wala namang ganun eh. Walang apology, walang admission. Kahit na nasa korte na, how can you deny yung 7 conviction? How can you deny the conviction in Switzerland, in Hawaii? You cannot deny that they are facts. It's not a theory. So why can you not admit it? No, and don't tell me that kung si Imelda luxury, wala silang pakialam, hindi sila nakinabang doon. The whole family nakinabang, di ba?
But Sister Emily,
Yan yung sinasabi nitong mga tanga na yung kasalanan daw ng ama hindi dapat sa anak. Nakinabang nga Madre na po yan.
Sister MJ, when you talk
Yeah.
about what is real, as opposed to what is not, when you talk about the sentiments of the people who are supporting him, these are real people. I'm sure meron na rin po kayong mga nakausap at nakasalimuhan na mga talagang may conviction na ang gusto nila si Marcos Jr. What do you do with that? You can't just turn a blind eye to that.
I know, I don't, but it is irrational. And it's, kahit ano sabihin mo, bakit ganito, bakit ganyan, hindi sila makikinig kasi, there's a kind of belief that is not rational. It is kind of idolatry. Idolatry or yung celebrity, yung parang yung fan mentality. I'm a fan of like that. Yung bang mga fans,
Yun nga ang iba para mga baliw, no? Fans sila ni meron pa ako nakita diyan Sandro, anakan mo ako. So ano yun? No, may naka-placard na tinataas, Sandro, anakan mo ako. Marami hong baliw na paniniwala, no? At paghanga, yun nga sasabi ni sister.
even they don't care less whether itong tao na to ay immoral or ganito. Basta fan ako niya.
Yun.
Yung gano'n, yun ang nakikita ko sa maraming tao.
Tama ka doon, sister.
Kasi kung kausapin mo sila, mag-use your time to say, paano ito, paano yan. Wala, hindi sila maniniwala. Kasi nga, it is an irrational, anong pangalan ito? A choice, no? Kaya, wala kang kwentang makipag-argue to somebody who doesn't.
Yun ang dahilan din. Kaya ayaw kong makipagdebate dyan sa mga sinasabing debate na yan. At ang makakausap mo, puro ganun nga kagaya na sinasabi ni sister, na wala kayo mapapala Kaya nga ito, kung makarating sa kanila to, mapag-isip-isip nila at mahimasmasan sila, itong vlog na to, maganda. Pero para ako wala
Doesn't follow the laws of logic.
Conversely, though, there are those who believe in conversion, in talking to them, spending enough time, and eventually you'll get them to see the other side. What are your thoughts?
Some you can.
No.
Yeah, but I
Totoo yun. Meron naman yung marami akong napapanood na dating napunta na kay BP Lenny. Yun nahihimasmasan kumbaga. Pero karamihan wala na. Pero mas marami pa rin tayo, no?
in general, I don't think so.
Sister Mary John, when we opened this interview, you were talking about how separate and distinct this is, the commemoration this year, because it may be the last time. Is that a clear and real threat to you? That
talagang baka last time na nga to, pagka nangyari yung kinatatakutan kong maniobra.
this may be the last time that we're going to commemorate the People Power Revolution?
Wait, for me, it's a probability, but I don't think it's an what they call it. It's an inevitable event. Not at all. Because I have been talking about surveys. No, I'm talking about it with
Ito na ho, yung sinasabi na survey na kakagaguhan na. Ito ang ano ni sister.
political analysts. And it is not so much the authenticity. It can be very authentic, the survey. But is it predictability? That's the question. I mean, in all her history of the Philippines, did all those who were number one in the survey, did they all become winners? Of course not. Siguro sa ERAP lang. Di ba? Pero, like for example, Duterte was not at all in the running, no? I mean to say, it was Binay who was almost every year the top, di ba? Or si Grace po. Ano sila, number 3. So, ibig ko sabihin, ang survey, kasi certain, para ito ang tendency, but it is not an infallible prediction, no? Di ba? Kaya, ang naaano lang ako doon, yung nakaka-influence ng mga tao, yung mga iba nag-lose heart, yung iba naman, ay, since wala pa naman ako, punta na ako sa nananalo. Hindi pa naman nananalo. That's just a tendency.
Yan ho, sinasabi niya, yung mga ibang mentalidad ng mga tanga, ng mga tao. Oo. Dito na lang ako sa nananalo. Hindi pa nga naman nananalo doon ka na pupunta. Oo. May mga ganyan ho kasi tao. Parang tuwan-tuwa sila na ang kanilang binoto, yung nanalo. Oo. May mga ganyan ho, Marami. Oo. Yung nga ang ibang naman, sana wag naman mangyari. At hindi ho mangyayari dahil sa nakikita ho natin ngayon. Kalokohan ho, para sa akin, kung matatalo si BP Leni. Isa hong malaking himala ng kadiliman, no? Maski saan ho pumunta Oh, to sa Cebu, grabe. Eto na naman siya sa Iloilo, grabe na naman. Magkakaroon ho talaga ng isa hong malaking kahibangan pag ito pa pong si BP ang natalo.
Imagine that you talk to, kahit sabihin mo 5,000 people. My goodness, is that comparable to 100 million people?
And so Sister Mary John, on this day that we commemorate the 36th anniversary of the People Power Revolution, what do you want people to take away from this day? You said it's separate and distinct. This is happening not in a vacuum, but against the backdrop of a possible return of the Marcoses to Malacanang. So let me ask you, what should people take away from this day?
What they should take away from this day is that the memory of EDSA should inspire them to be united again, to really see that during the elections, they will really not vote for people who do not have the characteristics of character, integrity, authenticity, etc. And there are certain very, very, very clear criteria for what kind of people we want to have in the government. So they should not be blinded by idolatry and by whatever.
Mga troll, makinig ho kayo dito, na kayo, magbago kayo, magdasal kayo, Sister po to, sister. Ito kasama mismo dun sa EDSA Power 1. Ha? 84 years old na ho siya.
By surveys and all that, they should just think about what is the best for our people. What do I think would be for the common good? At saka siyempre mag-umpisa ka sa character naman. Kaya sabihin mo pa ang ganda-ganda ng programa niya, but character-wise, wala nang integrity, nagsisinungaling. Paano yun? How can a person who is a liar?
Si Bongbong ho yun. Wala na hong iba, siya lang. May yung iba. Marami pa rin. Alam, politiko, puro sinungaling yan Kaya nga sinasabi ni BP Leni, marami hong pupunta rito at mga ngako at makamahirap, hanapan niyo po ng resibo.
Ano has no integrity? How can that person be a good leader? No? So sa akin, mag-umpisa tayo sa karakter ng tao. Hindi lang sa plano. Di ba? And then, sa plano, syempre din. Kasi kahit ang bait-bait mo, kung wala ka namang alam na gagawin para sa gobyerno, wala din. Kaya dapat magkakasama yun. And let us not be blind nga by I don't know what. Itong
Umaga po, sister.
indistinct, unrealistic, unreasonable, irrational, what? Idol mentality. Yun.
Sister Mary John, we appreciate you coming to the show today and talking to us. We have no idea how much you've touched a lot of people's lives and how much of a pleasure it was to have you on the show today. Maraming salamat po. Take care. Wag pong lalabas.
Yun po yung naging interview ni Carmina Villarreal. Ay, Carmina Villarreal. Carmina, si Carmina. Ay, nakalimutan ko apelyido nito. No? Siguro, baka pag nakakalato ito, maraming mahimasmasan. No? Kung ano sinasabi ni sister, parang yung klase ni BBM, walang integrity, nagsisinungaling. Oh. Yun ang sinasabi niya na pagkakamali, dapat inuna yung mga mahihirap, binigyan ng lahat. Yun ho ang plano ni BP. Di ba? Oh. Para sa ating mga mamamayan, angat buhay na sinasabi. Yun ho yung sinasabi ni sister, no? Ang ganda ho nung naging interview ni Carmina. Villarreal, hindi naman pala. Kalimutan ko ang apelyido niya Basta magaling siya. Si Carmina, mahusay po. Kaya, subscribe ako dyan. Mga boss, hindi ho to masyadong mamaya ho, sa Iloilo, grabe na naman ho yan sigurado. Hindi na mahulugan na. Inikot ho lahat ni BP Lenny, yung mga lugar na bago pumunta sa Grand Caravan mamaya. Alam nyo, pagka nagkaroon ng hindi maganda, para sa tingin ko, wala na hong talo. Si BP Lenny Robredo, wala na ho. Kaya mo na yung mga survey na yan, wala namang kwenta. Marami hong survey. Meron pa ako nakita survey. Alam mo kung sino number 1? Si Isko. Pumapangalawa si Lenny, si BP Lenny. Pangatlo si Bongbong. Marami hong survey. At ayon nga kay sister, hindi ho yan hindi ho parating tumatama yan. Marami nga ho dyan paltos di ba? Ay nako Lord. Ay, maraming salamat po sa madaming subscriber, no? Shout out po. June Lagon, my friend. Hill and Son. Akira Milus. Lad ni Baya. Shio Joji Duarte. Jeff Ramos na. Ruby White. Rolando De Liba. J. Ventura. Carmelita Nebeceral, Gilberto Bernabe, Alachamba TV, Tata Echo. Yun yung nag-comment din sa nakaripas kong vlog, no? Hindi ko matagal to, may tumatawag ko si kaibigan Jun Lagon, no? Maraming salamat. Basta ho yun, tuloy-tuloy na lang to. Wala na ho tayong milagro na lang ho ng dilim. Alam nyo na, ibig sabihin, kung matatalo pa ang maliwanag na panalo na si BP Lenny. At sana masama na ho lahat. Bunyog! Huwag niyong kalimutan yung bunyog, mahusay ho yun. God bless po, God bless.